and welcome to She's Got Projects, not Office Hours with Amber. If you are subscribed to this channel and you're like, what the hell is this? So sorry to tell you, we have moved all professional content over to at Office Hours with Amber, its own YouTube channel, just so we can separate streams. Amber, if you are... Okay, audio's up, not the loudest. Let's try our best with that. Okay, so... This used to be a channel primarily for professional content in Excel and all of that. And then I realized I have like this whole other half of my existence, which is hobbies and crafts and projects and exciting things that don't quite relate to technical, industrial engineering and business. So I decided we'd move all professional content over to Office Hours with Amber, and this is now AmJamber. And AmJamber, the origin of AmJamber, came in high school in the kind of beginnings of Instagram and Twitter, where I was like, I wasn't really given nicknames growing up, so I gave myself the nickname AmJamber. Amber, J, Johnson, Amber. Real creative, but it's stuck over the years. And so if you are here from the AmJamber era, thank you for being here. What you'll see in the title is today we're going to be reviewing, reliving, reacting to A Court in Mist and Fury. And you might be like, Amber, that's not even the first book in the series. You're so right. I lost my notes on the first book in the series. And because I think I don't, because of what we're going to be doing today, I really don't want people to accidentally spoil things for themselves. So if you are here reading any bit of the ACOTAR series or the Throne of Glass series, really, this isn't the video for you. Come back at the end of the series. Or if you're not afraid of spoilers, which to be clear, it is so hard to kind of spoil things for yourself because the way it's written and the pace of it and everything going on in those books, truly, you could have told me exactly what happened, but I'd be like, huh? Like there's just so much plot that happens inside of these books that like, but this is your final warning. There is so much spoilers for the whole series because I'm going to be reliving my notes that I took during the initial books. And the way I take notes, we're going to talk about that in a sec. Anyways, there's your final warning. I'm going to be kind of retroactively picking up little Easter eggs of things that I've learned since I've taken these notes back when I read it for the first time. So if you're here, welcome. I've made it through the ACOTAR series and I've made it through the Throne of Glass series. There's 2 ACOTAR books coming out at the end of this year, and that is why I'm so excited to relive some of these notes. And additionally, what I realized is I'm also kind of illiterate. My reading comprehension has always been kind of trash. And when I started taking notes, so essentially what I would do is when I was reading the notes, I'd either highlight things or take a note, I'd react to things. And I, to my best of my ability, am going to read my notes verbatim, which is this is very deeply intrusive into my thoughts, my feelings. And it really kind of illustrates what I was going through when I read these books probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. Year and a half. Who could be sure? I'm also in the comfiest chair I have. Usually I'm like upright at my desk, but I was like, wait, this is comfy hobby content. Why am I? No, we're not doing that. So anyways, thank you for coming along. As you have reactions or, there's no spoilers for me. So if you want to leave any comments of your favorite part of the books, things that you found interesting or your perspectives, let me know. But while I review my notes, so I would encourage since I don't like reading, what I found is my favorite thing to do, and shout out to my friends Autumn and Ayana for getting me into being such a reader. And I'm not even going to say such a reader. I would say I now enjoy the act of reading with friends. So what I would do is I have this whole, and you can't really see it, but there's all of these notes for all the different books. And so what I did is as I was reading them, I would take notes of exactly how I was feeling as I was reading them. And if I had any questions, so I could be like, Autumn, what the fuck is this? And then she could kind of fill in some details because again, illiterate. So to improve my literacy, I've been reading these books. And I'm not much for the smut, but I am much for the yearning. And so if you're, again, this is the final call. If you are here from any professional rounds of my life, this is girlhood, Amber. So if you want to indulge in a little bit of girlhood and books and way you perceive things, stick around. Okay, that's the end of my spoilers. I am just going to be louder and weirder from here on out. So a few things I recognized was when I was talking with my friends about these books after I'd read them, I realized that one thing is if you're reading the books currently, do not go to TikTok until you're done with the series. ACOTAR is easy because usually you read them in a specific order. It's easy to kind of avoid spoilers there, but it's also really easy to find spoilers. And so additionally, with Throne of Glass, you just got to get through the whole series before you look at TikTok for anything because you will spoil the fuck out of it. But that same thing. Who cares? By the time you read all of those pages, you have forgotten everything. So this series is for me to relive and prepare my brain for all the little nuggets and Easter eggs and things that I loved over time so that I am prepared in the fall when the next two books come out. So a few other things is what I would realize is that my perception of what certain characters looked like versus what they actually looked like, well, actually being the court of public opinion, if you will, I realized how differently my brain works than others. And so I thought, what better way to, one, give myself something I could watch back at any time. And I hope that other people interact and comment with what their perceptions of things were. Additionally, since we're going to be jumping into the night court, I have a night shift because there is so many details to all of this stuff. So I'm going to be snorting a little bit of an energy drink because I'm getting a little tired today. Yum. Okay. But there's going to be a mixture of me reading my notes back and kind of evolving on this thoughts. Some of my notes are super dog shit. So for instance, chapter 9, retweet. I'm going to have to dig back through the Kindle to be like, what the hell was I retweeting? So there's going to be a little bit of me mildly rereading, mildly going over my notes and kind of doubling down on some opinions or maybe changing some of my opinions. Because if you're familiar with the first book, there's a pretty big opinion that we end up changing our minds about. So we'll get into that. But what I want to start with, and essentially I'm going to be illustrating what I thought in my mind also. So I'm going to have Canva up and I might share my screen sometimes and talk through what my brain thought truly, like when I was reading, what my brain was seeing. So anyways, without further ado, today we're going to be talking mostly about Mist and Fury, but we have to kind of set the stage with what did my mind already think of these characters before we even get into the second book. So the first book, if we really think about it, it was a mixture of Beauty and the Beast and Hunger Games to me. Girl gets kidnapped by large monster wolf man to go live in fancy castle and be treated like a princess. She's like, but the difference, the difference between Feyre and the girl in Beauty and the Beast, Belle, the difference between them is Feyre can't read. And the fact that that was such a big plot point in the first book tickled my heart in a different way that I didn't know how. Like, hey, Mom. Also, Mom, feel free to throw your opinions into the mix because you very much went on the same journey with me. So the fact that we got Feyre Girl, and honestly, I do need to read the first one because really all my brain remembers is gets kidnapped, pays the dues for killing whatever, which honestly I need to go. I think in the later books they talk about who that was anyway. Gets to live a happy life, but the whole time that she's interacting, yeah, I agree. It kind of did feel like lazy writing until you get to the last 100 pages, and then you're like, "Oh my God, Sarah J. Maas, what are you doing?" So how to even describe the whole time when she in the first book, I'm going to talk about for like 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to move directly into my notes for the second book. And I think what I'll do is probably only go for like an hour or hour and a half because I don't know how many of my notes I can get through because I just be yapping. But she gets to the castle, and if I was her, let's imagine okay, so we got to start in this book. Here's what I'm feeling. We got Feyre. And she is the girl from the Hunger Games, Katniss. Like, she is good with a bow, and I believe, or I'm like mixing details, which honestly, it'll be funny to like see how much I'm making stuff up. You got Feyre. And then you have her dumbass family. We got Elaine and Nesta that are bitching about just whatever. Like, they're like, I feel like they, at the beginning, it was like, don't have enough money to even like eat or survive. And then they're talking about their clothes. Like, I was truly just like, huh? And then they talked about how horrific the dad was and just lazy and whatever. And truly, I need you to understand the whole time I was reading until we get to like book 4 or 5. This is what they looked like in my mind. And same thing with Feyre's dad. What his name? I think it was just Mr. Acheron, whatever. Archeron. In my brain, this is what they looked like. So now let's imagine we've got these two characters. Then we've got Tamlin that enters the picture. And once they get to like the spring court or whatever, what I'm imagining is like he just has his shirt off all the time. He's Fabio. And like, and to be clear, like each of these characters, I'm not all imagining that they're cartoons or real people. I'm imagining the mixture of the two, like kind of like Space Jam, I think, where it's like Bugs Bunny, or I think I'm mixing things up. But anyways, Tamlin in my mind, because he had that like mask glued on, and I don't really know when the mask came off. Maybe it was at the end of the book. The whole time I was reading, this is exactly what this man looks like to me. And then you got his bestie, Lucian. And to be completely clear, this guy I think is from Atlantis. And then I think he had some kind of eye situation. Again, I don't have my notes from the first book. And then let's go see what the internet thought Feyre looked like. And so I'm going to be honest, I don't think I was far off with my Katniss vibes. I think because AI really popularized at this same time, there was so many AI renderings of what they thought they looked like all the cast, and they all are like weirdly hot. And I'm like if we're going back in time, not everyone can be hot. And that's my opinion. And so when I started seeing all of the like renderings, I'm like, why has everyone got perfect bone structure and complexion? I was like, someone's got to have a little bit of rosacea or something. So I don't know. That's my only critique. But we've got Feyre. We've got the Lucian. Let's see what that guy looked like. Okay. So here's the other thing. We need to be clear about something. When I read, my brain only retains the most critical details. And so when I'm reading, I might like in this, okay, to jump extremely forward to like Throne of Glass, Rowan, I thought was brunette the whole time. Even though his last name is like Whitethorn and they talk about him having white hair, in my mind, I cannot agree that his hair is white. In my mind, it's brown. And so similarly, Lucian, I knew and this is so this is book 1 before I get fatigued with everything. I accepted he had orange hair and one eyeball, but like not even one eyeball. That's not even what they said. Well, they said he had like a golden eye situation. So what I thought was like he had like one of those like eye patch looking things. Not correct. That's okay. Now we've got Tamlin. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I'm far off, guys. So obviously he's got a shirt in some of these photos, but gonna be honest, I was right. So most of the story, most of the first book, we're interacting with these 3. And like and this is actually like probably pretty close to how it was, her being upset with these 2, just like looking for reasons to hate their guts. And so, and like constantly being questionable. Now this is where Feyre and I differ. She was like strong, independent, like goes after danger. Want to know what I'd do? Not the fuck that. I'd sit my ass down. If I went from poverty, extreme poverty, taking care of a family of 3 losers, then going to living in a castle, I'd be like, if Lucian and Tamlin said, yep, your family's fine, I'd be like, all right, Mom, love you so much. He said you're fine. I'm not going to question it because Like, I think at that point, my will to live would have been pretty low anyway. So the fact that two hot men jump out of the woods at me and take me off to have a better life, are we kidding? Anyways, we're almost off the topic of the first book, I swear. Okay, so we get later in the book, and that's when I found out about all the under the mountain stuff, Amarantha and all that. And so these two, I don't think are gonna. Well, one might come as a shock. We're gonna leave one for last. So we've got Amarantha. Oh, and I got rid of Reese. Oops. So we got Amarantha girl, which I think is I think her name is like Julia. No, what is her name? Twilight red-haired girl. Victoria, not Julia. Anyways, this is what I think Amarantha looks like. And then Reese. Okay, so I can only describe Reese if I describe Cassian and Azriel. Yeah, Mom. Like, truly, if you were to be taken off to some castle, and they said I'm fine, I would never hold that against you. If we find out later that we were like living in squalor, live your life, Mom. Okay, so with Reese, the only way I can describe him is because even in my mind now, I can only picture the AI rendering that I saw. And that's where, if I was to really paint the picture, really, again, by the time we got to book 2 and we met these two, Cassian, and I don't think if that's even how you spell his name. Cassian? So okay, wait a minute. We're going back in time. I was right. Throw some wings on the Property Brothers and you have Cassian and Azriel. Yeah, I'm so right. Yeah, honestly, coming back to this, I'm right. That is Cassian and Azriel is the Property Brothers. Because I'm just thinking like two giant, tall, brunette men. And then all I imagine our boy Reese to be is the mixture of those two with violet eyes. So in totality, the first book, a vibe. Now we're jumping directly into book 2, Akomath, A Court in Mist and Fury. And this is right after our girl. They all escape under the mountain. I think all of the High Lords. Oh, Max, good luck. I hope that when you read them and you love them, you're going to have these people in your mind and you're going to love it. So, okay, we're about to get into like the nuts and bolts of like girlhood. So, Max, thank you so much for being here, but good luck. You were warned. Spoilers ahead. Okay, so anyways, in our minds, Reese is the mixture of Cassian and Azriel, violet eyes. And until after the first book, I went to TikTok and I was like, wait a minute, who are these people? Completely took me by surprise. So to get into A Court in Mist and Fury. So I have my iPhone notes up here on the screen, and then I have the Kindle book up here as well. And I don't think it's like super high, like suggested to have like Kindle up on a live stream. So there might be times that I might share my screen on it. There might be times I don't. But from here on out, I'm going to be kind of now illustrating with the cast that I have just set up. There might be parts that I illustrate that I think are funny. Or I might just read my notes and relive them together. Okay, so in the beginning, in the beginning, they escaped. Now Feyre's back at the Spring Court with Tamlin and Lucien, and now we're getting back into like the mechanisms of the court where she's now learning how things actually exist for them. And honestly, in the first book, I don't like what my understanding of all of the courts, or like rather the Spring Court itself, is you don't really hear much about the people in the town other than, and like they glamored all my lady friends read these books, so this will do me good. Okay, honestly, this is it's like Spark Notes, but it's Amber's notes, and Amber's notes are fucking whack, so good luck. I can share the iCloud notes folder with you if you want to scan read them later. So in the beginning, so some of these notes, and over the time period that I read ACOTAR and Throne of Glass and all of the different books, I started taking notes in different ways. So I used to like, then I was also tag teaming between audiobook, Kindle, physical book. Like I was everywhere. If you are to read the series, which Max, I suggest you do, the digital audio, there's a thing called graphic audio on Spotify, and it is the best way to read these books if you're horrific at reading like me. It's because my qualms with audiobooks is it's usually a female reader. God bless. That's how I'd want it. But when she's reading male characters, it's just like, I'm Feyre and I am doing crazy bullshit and I'm saving the world. And I'm Reese and I'm doing other things. And it's like, I know I was like, give this girl a pay raise because she's doing the whole cast. But what I like about the graphic audios that are on Spotify and you can buy them on like the graphic audio website, is they have a whole cast and they have like Foley artists and they have the people like there's music and there's like it feels like you're listening to a movie and I love them. And thankfully for the Crescent City. Okay, so I need to also be clear. I have not read the Crescent City series yet, so I will also be taking notes on those, but I'm trying to finish the Crescent City and relive these all before fall. Thankfully, I've already gotten through Throne of Glass because hoo-wee. Okay, so in some of these I took page notes, some of them I took quote notes, and so in the beginning, they were kind of talking about how the whole structure of like he is my high lord, his word is law. And then she was kind of like, okay, well, what about high ladies? And he was saying there's no such thing as high ladies, which we find out was fucking false because later, obviously, spoiler alert, Reese makes her high lady. And it's like, yeah, you could just do that. So really in chapter 1, we're already getting into some misogynistic bullshit on Tamlin's part. But then you're reading and you're like, oh, this is just a part of the time period. Like maybe I'm in the wrong for like judging this. No, I wasn't. So then she goes into the way she wrote it, it was kind of exactly how it feels to have a panic attack. And I wish I knew it, and this is the tough part, is because before I started reading on the Kindle you can highlight the parts that you're fucking talking about. Right here, I'm like, huh? Oh, I forgot. This is the beginning of like, she signed that little, like tattoo deal with Reese. And so Reese can like talk to her through her brain, which I think is like the very early beginnings of the bond. I'm gonna Google real quick. Can you show a Kindle screen on a live stream? I'm gonna guess it's gonna say no. Like, I don't know if it's like suggested because it's not like I'm showing like the whole book. Nah, fuck it. La 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 la. At the end of chapter 4, essentially, this is where there's like a little situation that she, in her mind, oh, his metal eyeball. Ugh. Ianthe? Oh my god, I forgot Ianthe exists. And if that's not how you pronounce her name, none of my freaking business. Ianthe. Ooh, that little rat. Oh my god, I forgot how much I hate her. Okay, so there's a character named Ianthe. And honestly, what did I think Ianthe looked like? Oh my gosh, what a little rat. I'm gonna be honest, she doesn't even deserve a character. I hated her so much. Okay, so Ianthe, so by the time we're getting back to the Spring Court, this is where this little Ianthe rat bitch, God, and I'm gonna say it like I mean it. She, like, everything that, it was kind of like imagine you've always had a crush on a guy friend and then that guy friend gets a girlfriend and so you try to become like best friends with the guy's girlfriend to like maintain proximity to the guy. Not that I've ever done this, I've just seen it observed. I've observed this in the wild. And then Ianthe would do little bullshit just to like undermine Feyre, and then like, I think definitely at one point, Feyre just like clocks her shit, which is so good. But anyways, at the end, if you have your book and you want to go to page 41, that page makes me feel like I'm having a panic attack. And it was a situation where, wait, oh my gosh, I know exactly what it is. Sorry, half of this is me literally, I'm reliving it at this moment. The end of, oh my gosh, you don't even know what I'm reading right now. So at the end of chapter 4, this is when she's about to walk down the aisle and she's saying like, help me, help me, help. Like her brain, she's like thinking like, get me out of this, like save me, end this, like, she's like tweaking because she's in a dress she doesn't like. The roses are suck. She's walking down the aisle. There's too many eyes on her. And she also, let's be so fucking clear, is going through PTSD. So this girl just like died, got all these fey powers and all that. Like, I mean, she doesn't really know yet, but like she's got all this stuff going on, and like her like bullshit ass fiance guy doesn't even really super care that she's having like middle of the night throw up dreams. That's a crazy way to say it, but like she's like stressing, big stress and PTSD as fuck. And then she's about to get married to this man, and then out of nowhere, Resand. Ooh, hello, favorite darling. Hell yeah. Okay. But that truly, and when we look back through the mating bond or whatever, he's feeling the panic attack she's having. And this is like when I felt so seen. And I was like, and let's be clear, through reading all these books, I've been so perpetually single with no prospects and like desperately lonely. So to read all this, it's like, wow, I wish a man could read my mind and know when I'm having a panic attack and pluck my ass out of there. So reading this truly changed my life. Okay. Anyways, so the oh my gosh, I'm loving it. Okay. Apparently on page 42, oh, Reese, that's why she was tweaking. Why was she tweaking? Maybe Reese was doing something on the other end. Well, why I wouldn't have known that back then. We'll come back to that. Okay, page 55. He's talking about, he notices the fact that obviously she's lost weight. And meanwhile, my notes exactly are, I know the girly sigh. It's my exact words. You've lost weight from Reese. I'm like, why do I care that he's attentive and I'm miserable and I'm so single I could die? The next page, I'm literally like, I already have the vibe. I feel like they're mates. Why they mated when she was human, no idea. Also, love that when she's emotional, it like spills out and shouts at him. Oh my gosh. Okay. All of this is just going to be girlish squealing. He didn't know if the nightmares she was okay, mating bond stuff. When she's having all these nightmares and throwing up in her sleep, Reese is tweaking on the other end because he's hearing all of these nightmares she's having and she's tweaking out. So they had that deal where he only gets to like steal her for like a week a month or something. It's like a weird like not paternity leave, like a weekend at the stepdad or like your like ex-divorced parents. I'm so fucked on that. But like it just had that vibe of like, okay, time to go to mom's house and then like pack up and go to Reese's. It's like, huh? But during this, obviously he's tweaking. Now, obviously, many, many, many books later, I'm like, how precious and cute that our big bad Reese. Because of course in the first book they try to make him look like scary bad guy. So at this point we don't really know. And then in chapter 7, he said, "You're no one's subject." It's good for the heart. Shared custody. That's exactly it, Mom. Thank you for the assist. Chapter 7. She the other thing about Tamlin is some of my notes. The iPhone autocorrect likes to change Tamlin to tampon and Tamlin to Hamlin. So when I'm reading these, if it comes out that way, it comes out that way. I'm trying to read them like verbatim because your girl was funny back then. So Tamlin and Lucian pressing Feyre for info when she just got back, like literally give her a minute to breathe. That's so fun. Like, and that's the other thing is, they weren't telling Feyre anything about the war, like all the war craziness. And honestly, to be fair, that part of the books, I just could not give a single shit about the wars. There's so much of it. And that's why probably Wings and Fury, like, just is at the bottom of the list for me, because it was just like war, 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 war. And it's like, so for the problem is, if you're not going to trust our favorite girl with the intel of what's going on so she can be helpful, why are you pressing her for information? Like, imagine you get, like, you teleport back into this chair and then you're like immediately interrogated. Get off my nuts, dude. Brother. Okay. Oh, I'm furious. I'm furious. Okay. And honestly, this is not the entirety of the plot of what's going on, but these are just the spark notes that I found specifically either exciting, like I had particular opinions around. So in chapter 8, the quote that I found just deeply horrendous was, "That's the way my dad did it, and I will do it, and my son will eventually do it," which he was talking about the tithe, that's like the little tax, like everyone in town, which again, I thought it was just like the three homies in the spring court and the servants. Like, I just truly had no idea the magnitude of how many people they were working with. They kind of did a better job when describing the night court of who was who and how many people lived there, whereas spring court always felt kind of barren wasteland desert. Nothing. I mean, other than spring, like they had stuff. But in this section, they're talking about all of the people that kind of have to come pay the tax to them. And Tamlin's being a little dirtbag about it. And, oh, this is a good spot. Okay, so one, Feyre rightfully questioned, was like, okay, these people are like desperately poor and you're asking them for like their final possessions and like all of their stuff. Like, that's kind of fucked. Like, you have everything. And so I think at one point she literally says to get over himself. Get over yourself. Yay. She said, oh. Yes. Okay. Here we go. So Tamlin at one point said, "Did I ask your opinion?" Ugh. Oh, he was fighting with Lucian. Ugh. It's what I did like about Lucian and Feyre is they felt like they were always on the same team against like Tamlin, or Tamlin and Feyre were against Lucian. Like, it was always like someone was pairing up with Feyre. It wasn't often that it was like Feyre on her own. But Tamlin at this point said, "We're not finished with this meal." Ugh. And she said, "Oh, get over yourself." And then she left, which, God bless. Good. Honestly. Hell yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. And it's tough because I'm reading it first and I have to reread it to you. And like, I know this might be deeply boring to everyone, but I don't care. At least I have this record so that I can then, right before the movie, the books come out, I rewatch all of this. And it's bringing up a lot of good points. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. So there is a part here where there's like a water wraith. I don't know if that's the word. That Feyre helped pay the tithes, and then that water wraith thing comes all the way back around to help way down the line, and we'll get to that later. But this is like, and this is why I love this book specifically so much, and really the first two books. The next three were really fantastic too, but to get into the Sarah J. Maas universe, reading book one, getting through book 1 and 2, and really just getting through chapter 55, you start to realize, like, all the world building is, there's so many little teeny tiny Easter eggs that then become wildly important later. What happened in the Throne of Glass series is there was almost too many intricate little details that I had to remember, like names and places and cousins and brothers and mothers and godmothers and cousins. Like, it just was so much detail that I forgot all of them by the time I got there. Whereas with the ACOTAR series, there's 5 books, and it's they have like very key tent poles that are like stakes in the ground of like rememberable enough moments that can be referenced easily. It's not like when I was reading Throne of Glass, I often had to, like, with my Kindle, like, do the x-ray thing and see, like, when's the first time I even heard this name? Like, and there's a lot of characters' deaths that I just didn't care about because I forgot who they were. And that's on illiteracy is the real pandemic in America, but whatever. So chapter 9, this is where she helped that water wraith, and that comes back in much, much, much later. I don't remember if it's the third or fifth book. Fourth? It's gotta be the third. Okay, so inside of this section, they are. Oh yeah. Oh my god, I'm getting re-mad. So the thing is, Feyre at this point, I think they were trying to protect her, and so she couldn't really go and do anything by herself. So she was just constantly being like monitored, and of course you start to feel trapped. And you know where else they were trapped? Under the mountain, where she got PTSD. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay. T. Okay, I have to kind of scan some of this. So we're just gonna we're gonna let's do this. We don't need that. Of course, that's the teeniest ass lettering. And why is it so... Oh, there we go. Okay. Good. Better. Okay. So, in chapter 9, somewhere in there, they say marry someone who could put up with this, which I think is bars. Oh, yeah. Like, he was requiring so much from her. And then, of course, she's like, all right, if it's not going to be me, go find less, you know? Oh, you don't want to marry me then? Yeah, fucking loser. And her saying, of course I do. No, no. So when she mentioned what she saw at the tithe, I'm drowning, which I felt like I was drowning when I was reading this. More guards, more guards. It's like, you're drowning me. And then he like freaked out and exploded the room. Like, men are not lonely enough. Truly. Like, okay, this is gonna go into our first segment of like this is, let's see, chapter 7, blowing up the room. This is like, how do I even small old room. Yeah, wait. Study. Yeah. Oh, yes. This is exactly what I thought it looked like. Yes. Okay. Here we go. So this is what this scene is etched into my memory, and then like exploding wood. Banjo, what is wrong? Yeah. This is, oh, I want it like transparent. It's tough because if you see in the this one. No. I don't want to remove the background on any of these. That's fine. La. Let's just do our best. Yeah, that is like kind of, if we were to, let's edit this. Saturation, saturation, saturation. This and then meme woman okay damn. And then this is not like that though. It's more of like side eye. No, not even that. Jeez. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. 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 Yeah. We've got Feyre just over here, like, excuse. This is what I imagined when in this scene when he yeah, let's give some words too. Let's do white. Oop. I'm drowning. And then he just like fucking explodes. That is what I believe that scene looked like. Um, oop, oop. Back on subject. Okay, so oh, that was chapter 9. Whoops. Okay, so then this is where I think they figure out that she's got so he explodes the room. And I don't think at this moment he knows that she is like the shield or like she can shield herself. And so only because she shielded herself did she live. Let's be so clear about that. So that abusive ass, crazy ass, dumbass tampon man almost blew her shit up. And the only reason they survived is because she had a shield. Like, what? Okay. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So my notes verbatim. Shield, question mark, question mark, question mark. And then tampon has a tantrum and is acting like he didn't almost blow her up like that abusive ass shit. What in the abusive ass is this shit? I wonder if there's some form of curse where he can't talk about stuff yet because I'm assuming he just I'm assuming he's just being annoying and avoidant. Reese is back. Back again. Yahoo! Big summer blowout. Um and then so that's the other thing. I think in the first book they weren't allowed to say anything. Like there's the curse because of Amarantha and all that other shit. Like they couldn't say things. But now that all of those curses are lifted, so there really shouldn't be anything going on. But let's keep reading. So Reese comes back, obviously. You just tried to blow her shit up, and she obviously freaked out, and then he's on the other end of the bond like, excuse? Excuse? I digress. So at this point, it kind of feels like you know those drunk history videos where they like poorly tell the story over again? This is kind of like that. How funny. Okay. So of course he's like, and this is truly abusive behavior where he's like, sorry, 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 give me more time, let's get through this. No. No. Oh God, I hate Tamlin so much. But this is still the beginning where we don't realize, okay, the fan isn't being picked up. If you hear a gentle whirring, it's a fan because I'm sweating because I'm getting heated. So this part, like, we're still disillusioned to believe that, like, they're just working through some, like, small kinks. You know when you finally have like a boyfriend and then you don't realize like you're just happy to have someone at that point. And like they've gone through plenty at this point, but also him under the mountain, get a fucking life. Looking back, like after reading the first full book and going to TikTok and finding out, like yeah, why didn't he do more under the mountain? Like we're gonna get past it. Okay, anyways, so imagine you just get a boyfriend for the first time in many, many years, and you're like, okay, all relationships require some form of work. Nobody expects their relationship to be perfect. But the problem is, somehow between book one and book two, he just like completely falls in as like a shit dude. So it's like just buyer's remorse times a million. But then, okay, so he's apologizing, days in the blur, blah, blah, blah. Where does Reese come in? Reese. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Do. Oh yeah, Alice, lover. Mm. Reese. And of course he just comes in, just, you know what? I think in my mind, R Reese is giving, what's the guy from Friends? Joey. At this point in the story, he kind of gives Joey vibes because he just kind of rolls in and doesn't give a shit about Tamlin. It's just kind of like, you're listening to this. Like, he's just kind of creates some levity. Um, hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay. Second scene we have to discuss. So in chapter 10, what I imagined, and let's do this. Still getting my buttons sorted out. Okay, in chapter 10, it's I'm gonna call it putting on the old uniform. Because there's a part at the end when she's going to night of court House of Wind? Yeah, they're going to the House of Wind. La 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 la. Okay. So let's imagine she's about to go to the House of Wind. Interior. Yeah. Excuse, they are not getting the, okay. Actually, I think it's not even, okay. Let's imagine this. This is some AI nonsense, but this is what we're dealing with. So let's imagine she's about to go to the House of Wind. And I think outfit for night court. Like, she's got like a way different outfit that they make her, quote unquote, make her put on to go to the night court. But it's just like probably infinitely just more flattering. Let's see, Feyre. So the problem is, so when she was in the spring court, let's see, spring court Feyre outfit. Let's see what she was in there. Let's imagine our girl is looking like this. And then before she goes to the spring court, or before she goes to the night court, she has, I think she puts on like how I felt reading it was more of like a Jasmine outfit. Like, with, but like a deep navy version of this outfit. So what I'm imagining is essentially Reese is like, all right, get your outfit on or get your uniform on. But what I expected was that she was kind of putting on like a Burger King uniform. Like, clocking in, on my way. Oh, wait. Yeah, here we go. Like, I'm imagining, like, because I think in the uniform. Yeah, I hated the bright dresses, but that became my daily uniform, but didn't have the heart to tell Tamlin. He'd bought so many and looked so happy for me to wear them. yeah, to that. Um, she normally was, being the whole Katniss situation, but um, when she came back from even just seeing him say "I love you," I hate him so much. Night court clothing. Mm. They had, yeah, teal and gold clothes. He realized the night. Okay, okay, okay. Midriff. See, they say the strip of bare skin with my midriff, and that's where I was thinking Belle or Jasmine. Oh, there might be someone at the door, but somewhere in the middle of that, basically, before she goes to the night court, they basically tell her, "Hey, you should get like into your night court outfit," and I imagined it to be a Burger King uniform, like she was clocking in for work. Okay, okay, okay. We've got about 9 minutes left, so I'm probably going to make it through the next few chapters, but there's going to be a part two another day because even though this might be incredibly boring, I'm having a ball reliving these and making these little snapshots of what I thought in my brain is giving me just so many giggles. So, thank you for being here. Let me know if there's a way to make this more interesting. And if you have similar thoughts and opinions from that time period, let me know. Okay, so chapter 11. Let's get back up to speed. Where were we? Oh no, I've lost my place. Also, let me know if you're more of a physical book reader, a ebook reader, a audiobook listener. Oh yeah, and Reese is teaching her how to read a dream. Um okay, okay. So at this point they already had the bond, which I think they just didn't name it the mating bond. I think they just kind of slipped that one right past our girl. But I'm calling it the bond in my notes, which means I had to have known about it. But I somehow was so fucking dense and didn't know about it. Um but oh my gosh, I forgot about this part. So, because she has that shield power or whatever, and so in the first book, she died, and then they all needed to bring her back, so they all gave a little nugget of their power. So now she's like ultra powerful, and like I think all of the other court people don't know about it yet, but they're gonna be pissed about it eventually. Um, one of those things is the shield, and so when she puts the shield up, he can't get into her, like he can't cross the bond to like hear what she's saying in her brain. Okay, so he mentions sometimes the tug on the bond, but then there's silence. Ooh. Um, and then the terror was like, "Hey, but that's kind of saucy." Wait, what am I saying about this? And then the terror. Man, I was deeply desperate at this moment. Oh, Oh, okay. So this is where she brings Moore back up. And so we meet Moore, which is, I think, Reese's cousin or friend, or I think they're cousins. But Moore gives him all sorts of shit, which the difference now to see the difference between Moore and Ianthe is Ianthe's a little rat bitch that deserves nothing. Whereas Moore is just like a nice girl to have around, and actually cares about Feyre's well-being, whereas Ianthe sucks ass. So for her to ask about more was huge because Feyre doesn't really have any girlfriends, and so that's huge. That's huge. That's huge. And then the first thing I'm now reading that re-seeing this for the first time, in when and I can't believe this is like key plot points that we kind of remember, but I forgot that obviously Reese is teaching her how to write and read and write. And one of the sentences that she had to write is Rhysand is a spectacular person. Rhysand is the center of my world, and Rhysand is the best lover a female can ever dream of. And boy, does that prove to be true. Woof! She just doesn't know it yet. God bless. So delish. I love this. This is so good. And they're kind of flirting through the bond, which I love. Um, which one thing she says is, whatever it is you want, you can shove it up your ass, Resand. I love her. Okay. Um, okay, so at this point, there is a part where Reese is talking with Feyre, and you know when you're kind of describing something horrific that happened to you, but then you like don't realize how horrific it is until you say it out loud, and then someone else is like, "Are you okay?" There's a point where she's describing something of like the way she feels with Tamlin or something that Tamlin did, and Reese is like, "Has no one? Does no one ever care about you? Does no one over there care about you?" Gutting. And when reading that, I was like, is he talking to me? Girl. Okay. Chapter 14, the only, and chapter 12, chapter 13, none of my business, we're skipping, but chapter 14, the only notes that I wrote here is, I don't like Yanthe. She's kind of a pick-me girl. And I was fucking right. I was so right. Okay, we got 4 minutes. Let's see. La 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 la. Oh, that was chapter 12 that I said that. Chapter 13. Oh, okay. So in chapter 15, we figured out just how high of a lord Reese was, because up till this point, like, you kind of, there's all the high lords of all the different courts and all that business, but like they don't really talk about like the hierarchy betwixt them. And so Tamlin's kind of like the new guy. And so no wonder he's just doing what he saw his dad do, and he's like a piece of shit. Really, I just want to talk about how much I hate him. But we figure out in this section when I think this is where he takes her from the House of Wind over to Valaris, and he like protected that whole ass city, but I don't know if they showed it this early. This is when we meet two winged males from earlier stand in the doorway. Yee, okay. Um, I I think this is the part where she just kind of is done with Tamlin. She's like, I'm not going back. The House of Wind. Okay, yeah. So at this point, the fact that I took no notes on this, shocking. I think I was too excited, but basically at this point, oh yeah, chapter 13 is when he takes her over to his, what do they even call that? Not the House of Wind. The House of Wind was, oh, the House of Wind was the big castle thing. And then the townhouse, what did they call that? Ugh. Reese's houses? They just call it the townhouse. Okay. The House of Wind, the townhouse, Moonstone Palace. The townhouse is in Valaris. Okay. We're back. And we're gonna end on what I believed. Chapter, this is like 13-ish. So what I believed the townhouse to look like is if anyone watched Charmed, this is exactly what I thought the townhouse in Akamath looked like. And sometimes they would just like, because if you think about House of Wind, it's like crazy huge palace looking thing, and then when they talk about the townhouse, I'm thinking like just a house. And so Charmed house. Like, this is what in my brain they were talking about when they went to this house. Oops. Yeah, this is what I was envisioning. And so when he picks her up and drop like they go there and like the Azrael and Cassian are there, I'm like imagining him in that. And like when we get to like Frost and Starlight when they're doing the like gift exchange, I'm imagining them in like that teeny little room. But yes, okay. Anyways, that has been an hour of me girl just nerding out about the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Next week, we are going to pick up where we left off, chapter 13. And probably next, I might make this like a weekly situation or I don't know. I'm going to assess how much fun I had and what I actually liked in making this like a little easier. Like, I don't know. I kind of want it to be like a brain rot central of like just getting it out of my brain and onto a Canva. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, let me know. I'll probably keep doing it whether you guys like it or not. But if you have any suggestions or feedback, let me know. Anyways, thank you for coming, and I will chit chat with you